Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Heart Speaks to Heart, where we bring you different stories of various Catholic converts and reverts who either once left or thought of leaving the Catholic Church, but with the grace of God, found their way back home. So hello po, hello everyone again. I am sure you know me. Ko po si Rods De Leon, co-founder of the Champions of the Rosary Philippines Apostolate, and the one who runs the page, The Marian Hunter, although inactive po siya lately. Ako po ang inyong host sa programang ito under the Faith Watch YouTube channel of the CBCP Media Office. At syempre po, kasama po natin ang ating co-host na si...
Hello po mga kaibigan sa Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao at kung nasang lupalop ka man ng daigdig na nanonood ngayon sa Faith Watch, ako po si Bernso Kaasi, dating anti-Catholic Protestant, ngayon po ay founder and creator ng Unboxing Catholicism, kasamang naglilingkod sa inyo dito sa CBCP Media Office. Kamusta po kayo?
Let's now introduce our guest. Okay, so ang ating pong guest na yon, isa po siyang very, very close friend ng inyong pong host. We've been friends since college for 5 years. Isa rin po siyang former Protestant, okay, and former agnostic, and now Catholic convert. And she is currently a science teacher in a Catholic school. And isa rin po siyang napakatalino and brilliant na tao, kaibigang kilala ko. So without further ado, let's now introduce my good friend, our guest, no other than Sandee Alonzo. So hi, Sandee. Hello.
Hello, Rods.
Hi, Sandee.
How are you?
Welcome to H2H.
How's it going?
H2H talaga.
Oh, H2H. So how's it going so far, Sandee?
As usual. Everything is at home, done at home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, life is great at home.
Okay. Yes, okay, good. So, Sandee, I think I've oriented you already. It's best if our viewers would get to relate to you first and get to know who you are as a person. Okay. So as you may know, as I've oriented you, we'll be showing 5 pictures of you, which I personally selected.
Yari ka, hindi, joke lang.
And I want you to give us a brief description of the photo once we flash it on the screen. Okay? So Burns, ready?
Pero bago yan, Rodney, no? Para sa mga manonood natin, ginagawa po natin tong segment na to para bukod sa conversion story ng ating mga guests, makita nyo po na they are people just like you, relatable. Na kung nanonood kayo sa YouTube ngayon, paki-comment nga po dyan yung hashtag H2H relatable. Ayan. Okay, so Rodney, pakikita ko na yung yung ating picture, unang picture. Handa ka na ba, Sandee? Hinga ng malalim.
Ready na?
Siguro lang.
Okay, so first picture. Please tell us something about this photo, Sandee.
Oh my gosh. Well, I took that way back. Disclaimer, I don't really remember much when I took those photos, but that's my IG photo picture, the profile picture in IG. And I took that, I think, in 2017
or maybe 16
or 16.
Ako pa yata mas nakakatanda.
Yeah, well, I took that right after taking an exam that was in UCH, one of the buildings in Lasal. And around that time, I had a very rough day. And then after the exam, I was just chilling in UCH. Tapos, there was a cat that suddenly sat on my lap. And it felt like a really comforting experience. It's like the cat is saying, there, you can do it.
Are you a cat person ba?
Yes, you're a cat person, right?
Yeah, so from then on, I just had a connection with the cats. So, you can consider me a cat lady.
Wow.
I always felt comforted by the presence of the cats in school. They're like friends. So kahit, no one really knows you around school, the cats will notice you. And they're your friends.
Wow.
Anyway, that's just me.
Okay, so dito natin makikita.
I'm a cat lady.
Oh, wow. We can see here the cats, mga pusa, they can really be a source of comfort, And also in our school kasi in DLSU, napakarami pong cats doon. May organization po nga, DLSU Pusa, where they take care of the cats. So thank you, Sandy, for introducing us to your
Okay.
cat lover side. How about the next picture, Burns? Please flash it.
Yan.
Tell us something
Maraming
about this,
nakarelate
Sandy.
dun sa cat person,
Mm.
ha?
Oo
Okay, ito
nga, for
naman.
sure. Catholic siya. How about this one, Sandy?
Oh my gosh. Well,
Ganun
that
talaga yung
photo
reaction ng guest,
is
no? Oh my gosh.
Yun nga.
that was, I think, oh my gosh, I forgot the dates na. But that was my signing off photo shoot. That was for the batch government. I was their batch treasurer. So
What
I
was your
handling
course,
all the
Sandy?
expenses of the org. Oh, and I was taking BSE physics. So my major in the university was secondary education. So I was learning to become a teacher, but my specialization was in physics.
Science.
Science person.
You could call it that maybe, but I just really was interested with numbers. I wanted to know how to use numbers. And at the same time, I wanted to improve myself because I was a really shy person. So I thought, okay, I'll learn how to become a teacher so I can learn how to communicate myself better.
Ayun.
So that's why. But later on, I just found a love for science and research. Actually, I'm very interested in educational research. Yeah, so
Wow, amazing.
Okay.
Our science lovers can surely relate. Science and math lovers. Yung mga opposite ko kasi I suck at those two subjects. Anyway, so
Yeah.
our third
Tsaka,
picture. Ay, Burns.
Rodney, kaabang-abang na maisip natin, no? You mentioned that Sandy became an agnostic and she's a science person. So it would be good to know later on in her story, how did science play a role in her faith? Kasi di ba laging may sinasabi na faith and science cannot be compatible. So abangan natin yan, mga ka-Faith Watch.
Oo nga.
Okay, next picture tayo, guys.
Next picture. Yeah, there's Sandy.
Oh, okay. That was taken, I think, in 2019.
Yeah, I think.
It was my last dive. Oh, such a long time ago. Because afterwards, nagka-pandemic, nag-erupt ang Taal, hindi na ako nakapag-dive. So, I was with my dive buddy, Sam. Shout out to her. And we were doing a coral planting project. Okay, so we were in Milao, yeah, and around that time, actually, I was, well, it was when I was starting to learn how to dive. It was also around that time na I started to see the beauty of, the nature and underwater. And I'm a really nature person, so I like going out. I like outdoors. And if you really just observe, it will observe nature and let nature speak. Somehow it will direct you also to lead you to God as you wonder about the mysteries of creation. Ayun, so.
Yes. If I may
Ayan.
just comment, Burns, very timely yung sinabi niya at relevant kasi in our current pontificate, in our current papacy, Pope Francis gave us a very beautiful writing about the environment and how it can lead us closer to God, and that it's part of our Christian duty to love nature and environment because it's God's beautiful creation.
Yan. Tsaka Paps, meron tayong isang show sa Faith Watch, no? Ang pangalan po ng show, mga kaibigan, Laudato Si. So makikita po ninyo dyan yung mga katuruan ng ating Santo Papa sa pagpapahalaga sa ating tahanan, ang Earth.
Yes.
No? At madagdag ko lang, no? Recently, sinelebrate natin yung anniversary ng Laudato Si at ng Rerum Novarum.
Yes.
So kung dalawang magagandang kasulatan ng ating mga Santo Papa tungkol sa ating lipunan at tungkol sa ating kapaligiran. Okay,
yes,
next picture tayo, pare.
Okay, that's the fourth, second to the last.
Okay, malapit na, no? So parang maganda ng paganda yung mga story ng pictures natin, ha? This one, Sandy.
I think that was taken in 2015 during the long,
summer break.
It's a summer break. Yeah, I had 6 months because I was part of the batch who experienced the K-12. I mean, before the K-12 happened. So I had a break and I had the opportunity to go to the Holy Land. So that picture was in I remember correctly, it's in Jerusalem.
Yes.
And it was at the scene where the Dome of the Rock is.
Yes.
Okay, and interestingly, in that trip, I was still Protestant, and I was looking for reasons to, or reasons to believe in God. So I was looking for that in the Holy Land, and I was like thinking, okay, maybe if I go to Holy Land itself, that I will know if all these things in the Bible is really true. And yeah, just go there. I recommend it. Go there. There's so much evidence. It's really, I don't know how you could not believe in God or Christ. Just go to the Holy Land. Everything is there.
Wow.
First, it's a primary source. The whole thing, it's a primary source in itself. Whole place.
Wow.
Nakapunta ka na ba dyan, Rodney?
Hindi pa actually. I've been meaning to do so, pero ayun, wala lang oras. But I'm quite speechless kasi I'm just basing myself on my prior knowledge. Holy Land, yung mga sites where Jesus did this or that, they're all held by the church and they're visited by various pilgrims from different faith traditions, hindi lang Catholic.
Yeah.
'Di ba? So that sounds
That's
amazing.
true. Yan ang dapat natin ipagdasal, mga ka-Faith Watch, no? Ako, when I became a Catholic, sabi ko sa sarili ko, bago ako mamatay, may dalawang lugar lang akong gustong makita. The Holy See and the Holy Land. So, Vatican and Jerusalem lang. Okay,
Yes.
so amazing. Buti pa si Sandee, no? So,
Nga, naunahan pa
later,
tayo.
Sandee, oo, kwentuhan mo kami kung ano pa yung naisip mo nung nandoon ka sa Holy Land. Because it's a rich experience. Imagine a Protestant going there seeing that this is owned by the Catholic Church. Parang it's mind-boggling.
Yun na nga eh. And anyway, our last picture, and I would say the best. Uy, sino kaya yun? Sino yung nasa picture?
Well, that's Kuya Rod's. And that was taken during my 2-in-1 baptism and actually 3-in-1, the baptism, confirmation, and first communion. And over there, that's my ninong in one of the in the left picture. That was my ninong and the Monsignor Bonglo, who confirmed me. Yeah. And also my ninang Beryl. And another photo, that's Kuya Rod's.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, I was a witness to her reception of the sacraments. That was a very amazing event. It was
beautiful,
divinely inspired, truly. So, anyways.
And that is a segue, pare, no? I mean,
exactly.
wow, I mean, our viewers are waiting for this story.
So, Sandee, you've shown us how much of a Catholic you are. Catholic, cat lover, a science lover, and you're also a diver and a swimmer, a nature lover. And you're also a natural leader because of your positions in the student government. And also, you also in the last pictures, you gave us a glimpse about your faith. Now, this time, tell us something about your background, especially in relation to your faith. How did you first get to know and be formed in your faith?
Okay, so I was born into a Chinese family. We're traditionally Chinese, and my family is mostly Catholic. So every now and then we would go to mass and we would attend Catholic events like weddings. But I was sent to a Protestant school. So growing up, I did not really understand what was going on. So why were my parents going to this kind of church while I was going to Sunday school? So I attended Sunday school since I was preschool, every Sunday. And from there, actually, I learned about God, the Bible, the basic Bible stories in the Old Testament about Abraham, about Moses, all those. I learned how to pray in church. Well, the Protestant way to pray. And I learned that you have to read the Bible, do your devotions every day. And by the way, in the Protestant practice, when you say devotions, it's not devotion to a saint or Mary. It's more like reflection So when you do devotions, it's you read scripture or you read the
Susulat ka.
Bible, and then you reflect about it, and then you write your thoughts about it. So it's like journaling, and you apply it to your life. That's devotions. And we were taught to do our devotions regularly, every day, actually. And that's how we were taught to show our love for God, and grow in our faith. So that was my childhood until sometime in high school. I began to question, like, why was I doing all of this? So um, anyway, it's somewhat like an existential crisis, because I was really questioning all of my practices, everything that I was going through and since childhood. And I felt so guilty because I didn't have an answer for it.
Right.
Parang I was just doing everything because this is how I was taught. My teachers taught me this, so I just did it. I just obeyed, and I realized that I was just going through the motions of school and home and everything. That I felt that, okay, I needed to have a better reason why I'm doing this. So I began to learn more about my faith. So I started to read about how Protestantism started, and well, good thing also in high school, we also have a bit of church history aside from our history in subject in class.
Protestant
And
high school ito, Sandy.
yeah. So we have a little bit of church history, and we would have Bible classes. Okay, so in our Protestant school, it's not Christian Living Ed or Values Ed. We have Bible class. So in the Bible class also, we were taught about the Reformation, about Luther, and the 95 Theses and all that.
Right.
And how
Yes.
how the Catholic Church was corrupt and abused indulgences,
Yes.
and how they were claiming or saying that or preaching that justification, or we are saved by works alone, things like that. So I learned about that as a Protestant in high school, and from there I started to read. So I studied, self-studied theology. So it's based on really how I understood it lang talaga, and I was just searching.
Yeah.
And from
Sandy,
there,
go ahead.
oh, you have a question? Yeah, from
No.
there, I became Calvinist. Okay, so
I see.
based on my understanding of the Bible and how sound it is, so I was just on my own, belief on the Bible and my own interpretation, and from what the pastors and online were asserting, Calvinism is biblically based. It's true to the nature of God. So I started to believe in that theology. Oh, I think I lagged.
Sandy,
Yeah,
before
okay.
we continue
All right.
talking
Yes.
about Calvinism, can you give a very simple explanation? Ano ba tong Calvinism na to?
Yeah.
And ano yung main teaching niya, no, para sa mga manonood natin?
Yes, so they would know.
Okay, so Calvinism, just like all the other Protestant denominations, we believe in God, that God is good, that God is loving, but basically it has also some emphasis on how God is holy and sovereign. So especially on the sovereign part. So Calvinists believe that God has control over our destinies and our salvation. And even to the point of deciding who he will save or not save. So who will go to heaven or not. And I believe that because that we are all tainted with original sin so much that we are totally corrupt.
Yeah.
Okay, and that we would have no way to save ourselves except by God's intervention. So only God would be able to pull us out from that total corruptness. And I believe that if God would save you or save someone, you would always desire, the term there is will. You would always will for holiness, and you'd always love God. Okay? And so
Mhm.
that is, I think, how the once saved, always saved concept came from. Because once
Ayun.
you are saved,
Mhm.
or once God decides to save you, He
Mhm.
will sustain your salvation or your savedness until the
Mm.
end, or until you go to heaven.
Yes. I
Yeah,
think
so
uh,
that's the
Ang
concept.
tawag dyan, osas. No? Nung
OSAS,
Protestant ako, ang tawag
Yeah.
namin dyan is osas. Once saved,
save, always
always saved.
save.
Yan.
Mhm.
Kung nakaka-relate po kayo dyan, kung may kaibigan kayo na nasabihan na kayo ng osas before, comment
Mhm.
naman kayo dyan ng osas.
Yes,
Okay, sige
or
pare, go
share your
ahead.
experience naman, mga ating ka-CBCP sa comment section. Okay, Sandy, you mentioned also that you came from a Chinese family, traditional Chinese family. Can you tell us even just tiny bits of your Chinese background, and were there also times that your Chinese practices or traditions, were they ever mixed with your Catholic practices or beliefs, or if not Catholic, even during your Protestant practices? Were
Oo,
there
usong-uso yan.
were there cases of syncretism, or for our layman's terms sa ating viewers, yung paghahalo ng dalawang magkaibang
Mm-mm.
belief? So can you tell us something about it, Sandy?
So as I said earlier, I was traditionally Chinese. So I'm Chinese by blood, and actually I'm third generation Chinese. So my grandparents came from the mainland, and so they carried over their practices with them. But I didn't really experience it that much because I grew up here. And what I know by tradition, we venerate or we honor the dead. Okay, so that's one particular thing I think that you can note about how I practice my Chinese culture. We venerate or honor the dead. So we would light incense, and the belief is that we could pray to them or ask them for protection, ask for their help in certain times or times of trouble. And we would also offer food and burn paper money. So that's the
Oh.
burial practices.
Mhm.
But in my family, it's a bit chop suey. So we would have that culture. We would practice that. So whenever someone dies in our family, we would have the Chinese burial rites. And we would also have a priest come over and bless, or there's a Catholic ritual or tradition that comes with funerals, I think. And some of my family members are also Buddhist and mix of Taoism. Okay, and some of my family is also Protestant. So we would also have a pastor over, and they would pray for the family and give a
Halo-halo?
message. So halo-halo yun.
But
Yeah.
you mentioned about the prayers for the dead. Maybe maganda rin ma-explore natin, or ma-mention mo kahit very briefly lang in the next episode. What could be different between the Chinese rituals for the dead and the Catholic? Kasi baka ang ibang contention rin ng ating Protestant brethren is, Catholics, they worship the dead. They believe in purgatory, mga ganon. So maybe maganda rin siya matakal siguro, ano? Right, Burns?
Yes,
Yeah.
nakakatuwa mga kaibigan,
Alright.
no? Mga ka-Faith Watch, mga ka-unboxing, dahil napapanood din tayo ng mga kasama natin sa Unboxing Catholicism.
And co-champions.
Ito pong ating
My
yes, no?
apostolate.
Ito pong ating storya ngayon, mga kaibigan, is a very interesting, unique, and at the same time common, no? Unique for me kasi ngayon lang ako naka-interview na isang Chinese convert. But it's common dahil napakadaming mga Pilipino na pinaghahalo yung mga Catholic practices, yung feng shui, no, yung mga ganyang bagay. And this is somewhat close to our hearts because the Chinese culture is also embedded in the Filipino culture. So sa episode na to, mga kaibigan, nakita po natin kung paano ang isang kaibigan nating si Sandy ay pinanganak na traditional Chinese but Protestant, and sabi nga niya, no, halo-halo yung faith belief sa kanilang pamilya. But through the grace of God and perhaps the intercession of Our Lady, she found her way to the Catholic Church. And it would be good to ask, paano?
Yes.
No, of all this, halo-halo sa kanyang pamilya, sa kanyang background, paano siya naging Katoliko? Iyan ang ating dapat abangan, mga kaibigan, sa ating susunod na episode. So,
Yes.
wag po kayong mawawala. Tutok lang dito sa Faith Watch ng CBCP Media Office.
Opo. So stay tuned, ang ating abangan po sa next episode ang ganyang portion naman po of our guest's life. So once again, I'm Rods De Leon, your host, and
Burns Opasi.
and may your heart speak to the three hearts
To heart.
of the three hearts to the hearts of the Holy Family. So goodbye.
H to H.
Wait.
See you guys.
See you.